Niecy Nash, the most underrated star on television. When we talk about television greatness, certain careers dominate the conversation. Some actors explode onto the scene and never seem to leave it. Others achieve early prestige and ride that recognition for decades. And then there are performers whose careers unfold in a quieter, steadier way. Artists who build momentum over time rather than chasing it. Niecy Nash belongs firmly in that rare category. Because, if you look closely, her career tells a story that is far more interesting than overnight success. It tells the story of patience, of reinvention, of refusing to be boxed into expectations. And perhaps most importantly, it tells the story of an actress who may have been underestimated for far too long. The question is no longer whether she is talented. The question is why it took so long for the industry to fully recognize what she could do. To understand that, we have to go back, not just to the beginning of her career, but to the version of television that existed when she first stepped onto the screen. Television was different then, more rigid, more predictable. Actors were often placed into categories early, and escaping those categories was incredibly difficult. You were the funny one, the dramatic one, the romantic lead, the side character. Movement between those lanes was rare. And yet, even early on, Niecy Nash gave subtle signals that she was never meant to stay in just one. Many viewers first encountered her through the comedy series Reno 911, a show built on improvisation, absurdity, and fearless performances. As Deputy Rainisha Williams, she didn't just participate in the humor, she drove it. Her comedic instincts were sharp, but what made her stand out was commitment. She never played jokes halfway. Every moment felt lived in, grounded, believable, even when the scenarios were completely outrageous. Great comedy requires discipline, emotional awareness, rhythm. But here is something industry professionals understand that audiences sometimes overlook. The strongest comedians often make exceptional dramatic actors. Why? Because comedy demands truth. You cannot fake authenticity and still land a laugh. And somewhere beneath all that humor, Niecy Nash was quietly building dramatic muscle. Still, Hollywood has historically been slow to imagine comedians as layered performers. Once an audience associates you with laughter, executives often hesitate to risk seeing you differently. But she kept evolving, not loudly, not rebelliously, strategically. Her work in Getting On began shifting perception. The tone was more delicate, balancing humor with vulnerability, and suddenly viewers were seeing restraint where they once saw only exuberance. Restraint is a hallmark of experienced performers. It signals control, confidence, trust in the material. Then came a turning point that changed everything. When she appeared in When They See Us, audiences witnessed something unmistakable: emotional gravity. Gone was any lingering idea that she was transitioning into drama. It became clear she had always possessed the depth. The opportunity had simply arrived later. Moments like that alter careers. Because once viewers see you carry emotional weight, the imagination expands. Casting directors begin to envision new possibilities, critics begin to reconsider past assumptions, and audiences begin watching you differently. But perhaps nothing cemented her dramatic authority more than her performance in Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. There was a stillness in that performance that demanded attention. No theatricality, no exaggeration, just controlled emotional presence. The kind that makes viewers lean closer to the screen. Awards followed, but what made that recognition feel meaningful was not surprise. It felt overdue. By this stage, a fascinating shift had occurred. People were no longer asking whether Niecy Nash could deliver dramatic performances. They were asking why it had taken so long for Hollywood to give her the space to do so. And that question reveals something important about the entertainment industry itself. Hollywood has not always been quick to broaden its definition of a leading lady. For decades, narrow expectations shaped who was allowed to anchor complex narratives. But television has changed. Audiences now crave authenticity over perfection, complexity over simplicity, humanity over polish. And performers like Niecy Nash thrive in that environment because they feel real. Not manufactured, not distant, real. Another dimension of her story, one that deepened public admiration, unfolded in her personal life. When she married Jessica Betts, the announcement caught many people off guard, not because it contradicted who she was, but because it reflected growth, self-understanding, courage. Rather than framing the marriage as a dramatic transformation, she spoke about it with calm certainty, describing it as stepping fully into her truth. There was no spectacle, just authenticity. And authenticity resonates, especially today, when audiences increasingly gravitate toward public figures who appear emotionally grounded. Representation matters, not only on screen, but off. When an established, respected performer embraces their life openly, it expands cultural conversations about identity and self-acceptance. What is particularly notable is that her career did not stall after this moment. If anything, it accelerated. That tells us something powerful about the current television landscape. Audiences are ready for layered human stories, both fictional and real. And trust, once earned, becomes one of an actor's greatest assets. Viewers who trust a performer follow them from project to project. They don't just watch a show, they watch a career. Now we arrive at a fascinating new chapter. With her involvement in All's Fair, the trajectory of her career appears to be entering yet another phase, one that suggests not just longevity, but continued ascent. Projects like this signal confidence. Confidence from creators, confidence from networks, confidence that this is a performer capable of anchoring sophisticated storytelling. And perhaps most importantly, confidence that audiences will show up. Because by now, Niecy Nash has developed something every enduring television star needs: credibility. Credibility cannot be manufactured overnight. It accumulates, role by role, risk by risk, choice by choice. When viewers see her name attached to a project today, there is an expectation, an assumption of quality. That is the mark of a mature career. So is Niecy Nash the most underrated star on television? Maybe the answer is more nuanced. Maybe she was underrated once, but is now entering the phase of her career where underestimation is no longer possible. Where each new role is anticipated not with curiosity, but with confidence. Confidence that she will bring intelligence, emotional precision, human depth, and perhaps that is the truest definition of a television star. Not just visibility, not just awards, but the quiet certainty that when they appear on screen, the story is in very good hands.